TV. So we invite you to tweet your questions using the hashtag Jamaica Debates, and you can send questions to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Jamaica Debates. You can also view the debates streaming live on our Facebook page. Now, arising from the coin toss earlier, Team JLP will make the opening statement, while Team PNP will make the final statement at the end of the debate. And now the 2-minute opening statement from Team JLP.
My fellow Jamaicans, good evening. Since 1974, the PNP has controlled the parish councils for 28 of the last 42 years. Since March 2012, the PNP has controlled all the local authorities. The PNP's administration of the parish councils can be categorized in a simple way as business as usual. What does business as usual entail? It entails public disorder, untidy markets, mosquito infestation, improper poor infrastructure, but most importantly, a management style that demands more and more of your hard-earned dollar while giving you less and less. You can be certain that the JLP is not about business as usual. We are the people who care. The JLP will work to transform the thinking and management in the local authorities. The local government must become the driver of economic activity, especially in our communities. We will restore pride and dignity to our towns and communities and cities. We will demonstrate to the citizens of this country by providing value for your hard-earned tax dollar. We are committed to this kind of transformation because we care. We care about your safety. That is why we will ensure that your streetlights are working. We care about your health and well-being. That is why we will eradicate mosquito breeding sites and ensure your drains and gullies are cleaned. We will also ensure the landfills are run properly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Let us now hear Team PNP's 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, in the audience, at home, and on social media. We, the People's National Party, is a party of choice. During the tenure of the government, we have worked assiduously for the people of this country. Likewise, the JLP, in office from 2003 to 2012, that's 9 years of the JLP administration. And if you look on what we have done during our time, recent 4 years in office, you'll compare our achievement with that of the Jamaica Labour Party. Our achievement over that period is one which we are very proud of. We have improved on our collection in property taxes. We have improved on the compliance rate in our own source revenue. We have renovated many infirmaries across the country. We have rehabilitated some 3,200 roads, first in the history of local government. In sharp contrast of the Jamaica Labour Party controlled parish councils. Mismanagement and deficit was the order of the day. The councils could not pay for services and goods received. Deduction from salaries could not be paid over to third party. The JLP performance was dismal. So, ladies and gentlemen, on November 28th, we ask you to vote for the People's National Party. Put the X beside the head, vote PNP.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnswell. Now, our first question tonight comes from Damien Mitchell, and it will be directed to Team JLP.
Team JLP, how will you seek to enforce order in towns and cities since the municipal police have not been effective?
We disagree in terms of the municipal police not being effective. I would say they are not as effective as they could be. But there are other ways of maintaining law and order apart from using municipal police. We need to call upon the police the police force, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, to assist. And this is what we did when I was mayor of Port Maria between 2007 and 2012. We had the assistance of the police in keeping our towns and cities in order. Vending was less of an issue in the town of Port Maria. Now you will see vendors all over the place, including fish vendors on the streets of Port Maria. So our municipal police have assisted, but we need the assistance of the JCF. And we had it then. I don't know what has happened now. One of the reasons, perhaps, is that we have less meetings with our law enforcement personnel. We instituted at the time meetings with all government agencies, a quarterly meeting, so we could sit at one table and discuss matters pertaining to our towns. This has stopped since 2012. So these are some of the reasons why our towns and cities are in the condition they are. The Jamaica Labour Party will ensure and return our cities and towns to something that we can be proud of, so that we will have, when your towns and cities are in disorder, it creates a venue, an avenue rather, for crime to take place. Disorder breeds crime, and we are determined that we will work with the police to rid our towns and cities of these problems.
Team PMP, your rebuttal?
Thank you. The People's National Party has been consistent, and so we have worked to improve the Municipal Services Commission. We have actually been working with our municipal police to improve their training. We have involved the police in this training and other professionals. But Jamaica, this is not about promoting a police state. We have to get to the psyche of our people. We have to change the culture. And so it is not just about, my friend, bringing in the police. It is about working with the people who are at the center of this disorder. It is about ensuring that we engender the kind of culture where we see a change in attitude in our Jamaican people. So it is a symbiotic relationship that we need to create. We need to have that relationship where we have the police there as enforcers when we need them. But more so, we need to work with civil society, with our civic organizations, to change the attitude of our people. And that is working. We're working with our vendors. We're working with, those who use our town centers or markets. We're working with our communities because we want to change a culture. It's a culture problem.
Indeed,
it is not just about.
Indeed, it is a culture problem. But looking at the municipal police that we now have employed to the parish council, they have assisted us by ensuring that law and order is maintained in our commercial district. They have assisted us to ensure that persons conform to the regulations related to vending in unauthorized areas. They have assisted the council to ensure that persons building in areas without approval, the municipal office has a position in the council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnswell. And Kalila Reynolds, she has the next question, and that goes to Team PNP.
Thank you very much. This question is for both sides, since you'll have an opportunity to rebut. It was widely known that the local government elections were due by the end of this year, so you both had adequate time to prepare. Why has neither party produced a manifesto, given that you both did so in 2012? Does this not reinforce the belief that local government is insignificant?
Absolutely not. The People's National Party is committed to the performance, and so our strategy would have changed. Rather than producing a document, a single document that speaks to performance, that speaks to basically where we want to take Jamaica, we have decided to take it to the homes of the people of Jamaica, because that is where true discussion takes place. That is how we are able to know how we are impacting you. That is how we are able to understand whether or not we are serving you with distinction. That is how, Jamaica, we have decided to ensure that we get our representatives on the ground to stay on the ground with you, the people, because we are the party that is with the people and for the people. We understand sometimes that it is, glamorous and almost cosmopolitan to produce a document that would outline fancy photographs and lovely words, but we're not about talk. The people of Jamaica require us to come to them, to speak to them, to hear the concerns, to hear their disenchantment, and to make those changes. They want to look us in the eye when we make those commitments, because they want to make sure that they are talking to people who are not careless, but people who understand what it means to care, people who will not deceive them, people who will not trick them into supporting us and then disappear until 4 years. And so the people of Jamaica understands very clearly that the People's National Party has been that party that has always been at the front of engagement. We don't shy away. We don't hide behind a campaign on television or fancy periodicals or documents that will have no value. We've seen manifestos before, and yes, they're important. But what is more important is that personal touch. That is what the People's National Party is about.
Thank you very much. Team JLP, your rebuttal.
The Jamaica Labour Party maintains a good relationship with the people of this country. We recognize that a manifesto is a document that will normally say what we intend doing. But you recognize that this government came to power in February, just 9 months ago, and a manifesto we were unable to anticipate what we will find, what we found. And we found some really severe situations that we will have to address. And we are expecting that over the next 2 or 3 months, we'll be putting a manifesto together to say exactly what we will do based on the fact as to what we found when we came there. There are a number of things that happened that skewed our intention in that we found that there was disparity in the way the funding in the council has been spent over the recent period. We found that there are constituencies, there are areas where large sums of money was spent, and there are other areas that were starved. I think we need to, the manifesto we're putting together will call for equalization. There's a funding in the council that is called Equalization Fund, and there is no much inequality. There's no greater inequality than is in the Equalization Fund. In fact, in my own parish, Clarendon, a sum of $83 million came for the Equalization Fund to the parish. And
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. We have to continue. Irvin Forbes has the next question, and it will be directed to Team JLP.
Good evening. Why are there still so many illegal garages around?
Illegal?
Illegal garages.
Okay, that's one we have to control. You recognize, you said earlier when I spoke about the municipal police, and we spoke about the municipal police as an enforcer, right? And the police can't really enforce. I think we have to get to the people to get them convinced that illegal garages are bad for the country, right? And we are the Jamaica Labour Party. We'll be prepared to work to ensure that these garages are moved to areas, designated areas, rather than being on the streets. Right? The businesses, the people who operate the garages are small business persons, and many times they aim to survive, right? But we recognize that you can't be on the side of the streets, right? So we intend having areas where these persons will operate garages, probably in small blocks, rather than being on the street. And that's what the JLP aim to do. We recognize that the practice of going in and beating them off the street is not, it doesn't work. We have tried it over a long time to try and force them off the street. I think our business will be to convince them that that's not the place to do business. It's not the place to do business on the streets, and we are looking forward to convincing the operators that we need to move off the street. It's unhealthy, it's unsafe, and we need to get rid of it.
There needs to be a two-pronged approach. One is moral suasion, to explain to persons why it isn't the appropriate place to be. But as well, there has to be some level of enforcement. In St. Mary, what was done some time ago is that we took a multi-agency approach, where we took all agencies, Ministry of Health, the police, all the agencies that would have to do with that. And we took them to these persons and spoke to them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Creary. Thank you very much. Your rebuttal, please, Team PNP.
Thank you. The People's National Party recognize that this is a problem because we have had the complaints from members of communities. There are several implications for these illegal garages. But one of the things that we're mindful of, and I'm happy that my colleague on the other side was able to point out that the brash approach does not necessarily always work. Sometimes the massager approach is better. We certainly use notices at first instance because we also understand the challenging economic times in which we live. We do not by any means make excuses for those persons who engage in, who have illegal garages as their means of survival. What we do is because we believe in the engagement process. The People's National Party has always been the party of consultation, but that will not allow us to compromise on enforcement. And so we continue to ensure that we gently reach out to these persons, ensuring that they understand that we are aware and that we, in fact, are the ones who care and we understand their plight. We want them to make a living, but we also want them to take into consideration the persons that are around them, the communities that are around them.
And certainly, one has to recall many times in these communities, someone, a family, have worked so long to achieve in terms of a property, a residence. And in their retirement years, to have the knocking, the whole effects of a garage right next door, it's so discombobulating to them. It's very unfortunate, but we have to understand.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is now time for us to take a short break, and we invite you to please stay with us.
One of Red Stripe's latest and most important commitments is the development of a sustainable supply of local raw materials for the brewing of its beer. Under our Project Grow initiative, imported corn syrup is replaced by starch from locally grown cassava. Among the reasons Red Stripe chose cassava is its availability and neutral flavor, the availability of technical expertise, and potential spin-off for industries utilizing cassava byproducts. To date, cassava accounts for 7.5% of the raw materials in the Red Stripe brew. The cultivation of the staple has also created close to 100 jobs for young people on farms at Bernard Lodge and Wallen in St. Catherine and Spring Plain in Clarendon. We have also invested in a cassava processing plant, which produces 20 tons of cassava starch daily. With plans for expansion progressing smoothly, we expect to be sourcing 40% of our raw materials locally by 2019. We at Red Stripe are humbled by this opportunity to contribute to the growth of a great nation and will proudly wave its flag as we expand and take our position on the world stage.
The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica has been serving Jamaica for more than 35 years. The PCJ is spearheading oil and gas exploration in Jamaica, developing renewable energy resources, and facilitating energy conservation in the public sector through the implementation of over 100 energy efficiency projects in hospitals, schools, health centers, and other government facilities. The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, fueling Jamaica's development for over 35 years.
I'm making a new start.
I'm living life 100%.
I will think more positive thoughts. I will be more productive each day.
I will exercise more.
And of course, I will eat purity 100% whole wheat bread.
It's certified by the International Whole Grains Council.
All its grain ingredients are whole grain.
Healthy tastes good.
Cheers to the 100 life.
Cheers to a new start.
Cheers to the happier, healthier me.
For nearly a decade, thousands of lives and communities have been enriched by the efforts of the DNG Foundation. Through Community Link-Up, communities island-wide were fortified with recreational areas. Our REACH program has invigorated communities and schools across the island, facilitating the development of proficient nation builders. The outreach initiative of Red Stripe through the DNG Foundation has nurtured the skills of many through the Learning for Life program. The DNG Foundation, impacting lives, enriching communities.
The Local Government Debates 2016 are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Purity Bakery, Miss Birdie, Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, Securing Jamaica's Energy Future, Dano and Geddes Foundation, Impacting Lives, Enriching Communities.
And welcome back to the second in a series of 2 local government debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. Let's take in some questions from social media. And Marjorie Gordon has our question, and it goes to Team PNP first.
Good evening. One person on Facebook wants to find out, with the myriad of problems affecting the transportation sector, why has no one ever thought of decentralizing it to local government?
I am so happy we've gotten a question on the transportation center because, I just want to get this in for a quick second. When we're talking about responsibility, and my friend spoke about what they found, just let me take you back to the transportation center that was built just behind Tivoli Gardens, the kind of vulgar use of, our taxpayers' dollars to build a center that was going nowhere, and we all know it. They can't even protect Jamaica, let alone to take us down behind Tivoli Gardens. But let me say that is a discussion that we have never actually honestly engaged in, and so we're not prepared to deceive you. But it is one for discussion, and we will definitely be taking it to the tables of the People's National Party, because transportation is an essential part of the operations of the people in this country. And so we are not prepared to stand here and give you a story for the sake of a debate. We have not discussed it, and we will take it back to the tables of the People's National Party. But let me say that my friends on the other side mentioned earlier that the reason they did not present a manifesto is because of what they found. I will take you to the KSAC alone, where we inherited over $131 million in debt. We are talking about contracts where we had nothing written. Persons were just operating and being paid, yes, with your tax dollars. We're talking about the very latest $600 million used in the most vulgar way, Jamaica. We are not against bushing. We are not against beautifying the aesthetics of our community, but you demand responsibility from us. And that is what you expect from us going forward post the 28th of November, and that is what you can expect from the People's National Party. We have always demonstrated that we are the party that you can trust with local governance.
Thank you very much. Team JLP, your response?
My friend in the Team PNP keeps referring to consultation with the people of Jamaica. I can recall an instance where the mayor of Montego Bay, vendors came to visit him to discuss a matter, and he sat there in his office in earshot of the persons and gave them a barrage of bad words. Is that what we call consultation? In terms of the suggestion and the question that was posed, it is a good suggestion and it is worth looking into. In terms of transportation centers, in St. Mary, when we took over the St. Mary Parish Council, we found a bus terminus. The only thing the PNP could find fit to name after the former Member of Parliament, Horace Clark. We found a bus terminus that was privately operated by an individual who Horace Clark put there. We had to fight to take back that bus terminus. It was the only privately run bus terminus probably in the entire world, because the parish council got nothing from it. It was not a joint venture. There was nothing that came to the council in terms of revenue. We took it over, and now the council is earning revenue from that facility. We also created another one in Anata Bay. So we are the party who create these facilities. We are the party who run these facilities. And we are the party that cares for the people of Jamaica. In terms of our markets, I would like to mention the Port Maria market, where there was a program to build a new market for $34 million. The 4 years of the PNP, nothing was done. Since we have taken over, Minister Mackenzie has allocated $68 million to the Port Maria market. That is caring. That is what the Jamaica Labour Party is about.
Mr. Creary, your time is up. Damian Mitchell has the next question, and it will be posed to Team JLP.
How will you seek to restore dignity in the treatment of people living in infirmaries?
Dignity to the people living in the infirmaries. In most cases, these persons have very little support from family. And in the case of Clarendon, much has been done by the regime while I was mayor, and to some extent continued by the present regime, to make sure that the people in the infirmaries live a reasonable, comfortable life, and that they get the attention that they deserve. In fact, you recognize that the infirmaries, there are persons now who are seeking to come to the infirmaries, right? To come and reside there, right? Because of the work that was done over the many years, in particular over the period while the Jamaica Labour Party was in charge. Because we recognize that these persons are citizens of Jamaica, they are our people, right? And we recognize that we need to take good care of them, and we will. We will, the Jamaica Labour Party, when we return after the 28th of November, we will ensure that the persons who reside in the infirmary are taken care of and properly treated. We love our people and we care.
To show people you care, you have to ensure that you have the facilities in place, the proper facilities, you have the staff in place, and you have to train your staff so that they treat the persons residing there with a certain level of dignity and care. You have to also ensure that I've said the point before, the facilities must be first class to show that you care. But I want to get back to the point of the debt left at the KSAC. I would say to my colleague, prove it, because I am certain that we did not have that debt there. What we really want to talk about is the misuse.
And your time is up, sir. Rebuttal from Team PNP.
At my Mr. Brown response that during his tenure as mayor of Maypen, that the infirmary was well taken care of. It was under the people, this present administration, that has lifted the bar at the infirmary in Clarendon. We have ensured that not only care given for our residents at the infirmary, but we ensure that those who are still have their faculty in place, that we create an activity room in which they were able to showcase their talent. We were able to do handcraft items, and we have persons coming and visit them from time to time. We have had private sector group participating by coming to that place and renovate it. Every Christmas, we ensure, we join with a private individual and ensure those residents are taken care of. We ensure that they get a good bath, we ensure that they get treat from those persons. And I must say that if you go to the infirmary today, you may wonder if you're in a resort, because that's the kind of care we take for our people.
Additionally, returning dignity to those in our infirmaries.
Still in a deplorable condition. Why haven't the stated goals been accomplished, and how soon will something be done about it?
When these markets were built by the International Development Bank, they were built for the intended purpose in terms of its use. But now we have outlived those markets, and we realize the challenges we're now having because there are more people doing business in terms of providing vegetable and food items. Now we have to be looking at how we restructure and redevelop and reorganize and redesign our markets. And we presently start doing that. For example, in the Maypen era, we realized the persons complain about being able to not be feeling safe within that market itself. And what we did was to build a wall to secure not only the vendors, but those who are doing business. We look across, for example, in the Rocky Point era, a brand spanking market was built there. Again, it was built for the purpose of persons doing business within that era. So we are taking strides, we're taking steps to improve our markets, to make it a place where people want to do business, to make it a place where people feel comfortable. And we keep doing it, and we have the money to do it, and we'll be doing it.
Indeed. As a matter of fact, modernizing our markets will take a little bit more than a talk shop, and the People's National Party is never ever about paying lip service to anything. Jamaica, the reality is, I'm happy Papine Market was mentioned because it hits home. Incremental steps have been taken to address the issues at that market. We're talking about outdated infrastructure. But can you imagine, Jamaica? It would take $30 million to modernize and reposition the Papine market to first world status. If only we had gotten $30 million out of that $600 million that was given for bushing. Yes, for boiler work. Can you imagine the people in Portland? Just how much would it have taken out of that $600 million in order to be able to restore our markets to standards that our people can be proud of? Jamaica, you expect responsibility from us, and that is what the People's National Party will guarantee going forward post-November.
Team JLP, your response.
The People's National Party team is being disingenuous. You mentioned the Rocky Point market. That was one of the markets that was done under the Jamaica Labour Party administration, completed after 2012. And I mentioned the Port Maria market should be a part of that program. However, for the 4 years of the PNP administration, the market was not built. Mr. Barnswell is mentioning about the usefulness of our markets. That is why we designed the Port Maria market, not like any other market, because we believe in business, not business as usual. The Port Maria market will be a two-story structure, so we can have a commercial plaza on top of it. You mentioned about the $600 million program. It is a program not only of drain cleaning, it is a program of cleaning public spaces. It is a program of bushing and drain cleaning. It is a very good initiative because during the 4 years of the PNP administration, I can speak to my own division. There are roads that have not been bushed and drains not cleaned over that 4-year period. So for us to clean up Jamaica now, I cannot see why my friends on that side would have a problem with us cleaning up Jamaica as they left it. We would not want another epidemic like Chick V. This program is an NWA program run by contractors. So we must bear that in mind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Creary. Kalila has a follow-up question.
Yes, Mr. Barnswell, you mentioned that the markets have outlived their use for a modern society. Does this mean that we ought to demolish the markets and start over? And are you prepared to make the commitment to do that?
Oh no, we would never think of demolishing our markets. But what we now need to look at is the use, as I said, the usefulness of the markets as to what other activity we can use in that market. For example, we have persons who will go to the hairdressing salon. Do we now need to have a cyber cafe inside the market? Do we now need to have a proper restaurant inside the market? Do we now need to have an area within the market where persons can pay their utility bills? So we now need to put in different activities within the market that will force persons and will encourage persons to go inside that market to do business. And that is what we are now looking at. As we said, we're developing our market areas to make it a place where people want to do business and feel comfortable in doing business.
And we urge Jamaicans that any councillor who would look at you and tell you that they were not able to bush their division because of allocation, reject them. It is a lie, and there's no other name by which we can call it but a lie. But that is what the Jamaica Labour Party represents: deception.
Thank you very much. Team JLP, your response.
I did not say that we did not. As a councillor, I did not bush my division. The roads within the Richmond division that I represent, the parish council roads, are in far better condition than the main roads. And it is because of the lack of effectiveness of the members of parliament on that side. So that is the reason why we have to be doing this program now. So don't try and say that it is because of a councillor not being effective. In terms of the market, I pointed out that we believe that a prime area, piece of real estate in Port Maria should not be just a shed, which is what a market is. So we are putting a commercial plaza on that location.
Your time is up, Mr. Creary. Irvin Forbes has the next question, and he will pose it to Team JLP, I'm sorry.
I want to go back to the issue of the $600 million program. It has spawned some arguments, counter-arguments, some amount of tension. Some supporters are considering protests? What are you doing to tackle political tribalism?
Well, in terms of the $600 million, let's be honest now. Dennis Chung estimated that we lost 18.2 million man-hours from the chickpea epidemic, which amounted to about 6.6 billion worth of GDP. The government inherited a fragile economy from the PNP administration. So the government has to put at the center of its administration the interests of the Jamaican people. The country cannot, and our economy cannot sustain another epidemic. Therefore, as a government, we have to be caring and we have to be proactive. By proactive, we mean, coming out of October, you have a lot of overgrown trees. If you look at the cities, if you look at the towns, you see overgrown trees and bushes everywhere. You see settled water all across in drains. The government had to move in order to prevent the reoccurrence of another epidemic, because our economy at this stage cannot sustain another epidemic. To get to the point, however, and the Jamaican people has to understand that all the PNP is doing right now is just talk, because they are mentioning about $30 million to repair the Papine market. When the fees from motor vehicle licensing has increased from under $1 billion to nearly $3 billion, when your earnings from property taxes increased from about $2 billion to nearly $7 billion, when your share of the equalization fund is over $200 billion, and you are saying that you are committed to restructuring the markets and to make the markets tidy, that is pure talk.
Let me say, it is truly disingenuous, the statements we just heard. Councillor Delroy Williams is well aware that under the leadership of the PNP's mayor, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, we have repaired 210 roadways, a 95% increase in 2015 to 16 over the period they were leading, 2011 to 12. He is also aware there have been 400 drains that have been cleared, a 21 increase over his time when he was leading the council. Councillor Williams is also aware of the massive transformation that took place in the St. William Grant Park, the transformation that is going on in the Heroes Park, and he's also aware that we intend to build a children's park within St. William's Grant Park. I am now switching to the issue of $600 million. You on that side are well aware that the increased amount of bush is not happening only in JLP constituencies. Rain don't only fall in JLP constituencies. Why are you being so disingenuous? Why are you attempting to deceive the Jamaican people barefaced? The $600 million vote buying scheme is a threat to our democracy. And we understand that, and you should be ashamed of yourself that you're supporting that.
$600 million.
And I thank you. Your time is now up, and this is where we take another break, and we invite our viewers to please stay tuned.
For nearly a decade, thousands of lives and communities have been enriched by the efforts of the DNG Foundation. Through Community Link-Up, communities island-wide were fortified with recreational areas. Our REACH program has invigorated communities and schools across the island, facilitating the development of proficient nation builders. The outreach initiative of Red Stripe through the DNG Foundation has nurtured the skills of many through the Learning for Life program. The DNG Foundation, impacting lives, enriching communities.
The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica has been serving Jamaica for more than 35 years. The PCJ is spearheading oil and gas exploration in Jamaica, developing renewable energy resources, and facilitating energy conservation in the public sector through the implementation of over 100 energy efficiency projects in hospitals, schools, health centers, and other government facilities. The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, fueling Jamaica's development for over 35 years.
You didn't know that it's illegal to show anybody a ballot paper who you vote for? Your vote is secret, and if you show anybody at all who you vote for inside the polling station, the presiding officer will declare your ballot spoiled.
The law protects the secrecy of your ballot. You may be fined up to $80,000 or be imprisoned for up to 5 years for voting openly. Remember, you must mark your ballot behind a screen. Fold your ballot so that the mark is not exposed. If you expose your mark, your ballot will be declared spoilt. No one should ask you to expose your ballot, as this is a criminal offense. Your ballot cannot be traced back to you once the counterfoil has been removed. Your vote is your secret. Free and fair elections, it's up to you.
One of Red Stripe's latest and most important commitments is the development of a sustainable supply of local raw materials for the brewing of its beer. Under our Project Grow initiative, imported corn syrup is replaced by starch from locally grown cassava. Among the reasons Red Stripe chose cassava is its availability and neutral flavor, the availability of technical expertise, and potential spin-off for industries utilizing cassava byproducts. To date, cassava accounts for 7.5% of the raw materials in the Red Stripe brew. The cultivation of the staple has also created close to 100 jobs for young people on farms at Bernard Lodge and Wallen in St. Catherine and Spring Plain in Clarendon. We have also invested in a cassava processing plant, which produces 20 tons of cassava starch daily. With plans for expansion progressing smoothly, we expect to be sourcing 40% of our raw materials locally by 2019. We at Red Stripe are humbled by this opportunity to contribute to the growth of a great nation and will proudly wave its flag as we expand and take our position on the world stage.
The Local Government Debates 2016 are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Purity Bakery, Miss Birdie, Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, Securing Jamaica's Energy Future, Dano and Geddes Foundation, Impacting Lives, Enriching Communities.
And welcome back to the second in a series of 2 local government debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. We now take a question from social media. And Marjorie, what's the viewer saying?
Well, Cadian wants to know how local government plans to ensure councillors and residents develop a relationship in order to ensure community development.
Team PNP, please respond first.
I'm happy that the caller posed that question to us. We, the People's National Party-led council, have developed what is called a local sustainable development plan, where we get the parish development committees assisting us in putting together a plan that will benefit the people of the different parishes. This local sustainable development plan will outline the proper use of land. It will also outline where we need business to be placed. It also will outline where we need development to happen. And it also assist us in terms of the decision that we're making on behalf of those people. So what it does is give the people, give you a voice to say to us, this is what we want for our community. What that local sustainable development plan will do is to drive the economy. It will drive development. It will drive investment. But as I make the reference to investment, Mr. Williams from the other side made mention about the state of the economy when they get the government. I wonder which country was living in. It can't be the one with his administration had failed all the tests, including the people test, and that's why the people put us in office in 2012.
We believe in the People's National Party that we are with the people, for the people. And so in answering the question from social media, we have, for example, at the KSAC, increased the number of town hall meetings that have been held. We have had 12 in the last 4 years. We have had over 200 community meetings. We now have a social media presence never before in the history of local government. As it relates to the Manchester Parish Council, they have brought the decision-making process as it relates to their budget to the people every year. Consultations are ongoing. Our mayors across the island are demanded by our party to ensure that there is this engagement that is continuous with the Jamaican people in their communities, on the corners, on the streets, in the cities, in the marketplaces. You can find our mayors.
Thank you very much, sir. Team JLP, your rebuttal.
I wonder which test the PNP failed when it lost the February 2016 elections. So we are talking about failing the people's test. Well, the point at which you were tested was on February when you lost the election. And we inherited from you a fragile economy, which we are building and growing now. When we talk about sustainable development, if there is a flaw in the parish council, if there is a flaw, it is not that the parish council doesn't have resources. It is that the parish council has no vision. Everything at the level of local government must fit in a proper vision, and we must have a management style that engenders efficiency and effectiveness. Do we have that now? It is a categorical no. What we have is a management style that engenders an insatiable desire for more and more money, but giving out less and less outcomes to the benefit of the people of this country. We talk about we have done more roads and cleaned more drains. This is the fact. The Civil Rights Gardens Division got $3 million allocation each year in 2003. 2003. Now it's 2016 and billions of dollars later in terms of revenues to the parish council. Can you say what is the allocation to the Civil Rights Gardens Division from the KSAC? $2.8 million in 2016. It got $3 million in 2003. The records are there to show.
As the former Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller said, the PNP is adept at doing less with more, and they have been getting far more resources.
I have to stop you, Mr. Creary. Your time is up. Damian Mitchell has the next question, and it will be posed to Team JLP.
What will you do to stop the practice of squatting and people living and building in restricted areas?
Well, squatting has been a problem over many years, over many political regimes. And it's our intention to, in the first instance, those persons who are now on lands, and the situation is such that they cannot be removed because of the nature of the development. It's our intention to make sure that they have the amenities that are necessary for good living. So as far as those are concerned, we can't be moving them. We will need to make sure that the facilities that they enjoy is adequate. Secondly, where people are now seeking to start squatter settlement, we will have to do two things. We'll have to convince them that it's not a worthy thing to do, and secondly, we'll have to enforce. At this particular point in time, we need to enforce to ensure that the squatting doesn't take over the entire country. Right? You recognize that squatting takes place where there is development. And the Jamaica Labour Party will make sure that where we have development, where development is taking place, that we make preparation to ensure that persons are adequately housed in these areas and they don't have to end up squatting. That's our intention.
The PNP is known as the party of cronyism, nepotism, and corruption. They are the most corrupt government in the Caribbean. Hanover Parish Council, Manchester Parish Council, St. Ann Parish Council. They have perfected corruption at central government level. They have now perfected it at the local government level. And even within their own party, they have perfected it in terms of their own campaign funds for the election that just passed the other day. We know that the PNP is corrupt. Do not allow them to fool you tonight.
Team PNP, your
It is very clear that our friends came with sound bites. Usually when there's absence of substance, then we descend into what we're getting. But the people of Jamaica deserve more. I want to start with the issue of corruption. And yes, you know what? Mm-hmm. We cannot, Jamaica, responsibly color corruption. We should never, ever, ever tolerate corruption, regardless of where it obtains from. The People's National Party has always been consistent, and we have systems by which we have checks and balances for those persons we put into public life. But of course, we make no excuses, Persons are subject to human failings, but where that is the case, we don't condone it, we don't hide it, we deal with it. Now, the Hanover Parish Council, there was a report. The minister has had that report, and it's quite interesting that we have heard nothing of it. Jamaica, whatever is in that report is important to all of us. Whether it is that there are some proposals there that will ensure that these things are not repeated, and it begs the question, therefore, why hasn't the minister brought this matter to the fore?
Let me give the JLP a history lesson. Minister Cleve Puss Lewis, former JLP minister, imprisoned. Minister Malcolm in the 50s imprisoned for corruption. Minister Simmons imprisoned. Minister Jack Smith imprisoned for stealing farm workers' money. Now, let me give you some history lesson. Over the last 6 years...
Kalila Reynolds, she has the next question, and it will be directed to Team PNP.
There have been two recent events involving the collapse of a section of major hotels currently under construction. Municipal authorities are responsible for issuing the permits for such construction. Given your limited financial and human resources, how will you ensure that standards are upheld and people are safe?
It's regrettable. It is regrettable of what happened in the recent incident where that hotel or section of that hotel collapsed. But with the building bill, with that building bill that is there to be passed, that previous administration has left there and still on somebody's desk, not paying attention to, will give the local authority that autonomy to ensure that persons conform to the building code. It will give the local authorities that responsibility to step in and to ensure that persons follow through. But let me go back to the roles and function of the parish council. Within the council itself, we have what is called a technical team from the Roads and Works Department. And in that department, we have somebody who given that position as the building officer. Now, before persons' approval in terms of the building plan is done, we ensure, as part of the requirement, that they need to inform the council whenever time they're going to start any form of construction, and they will go within, check to ensure that they are conforming to what we had approved at the council. But there's something which I cannot allow to slip by, and that has to do, what are we doing about squatting? What are we doing? It's not what we are doing, but what we have already done and doing about informal settlement. The United Nations Habitat Program is already started, and we're going to UN Habitat 3. We have the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, which has been assisting crime play community in how we improve the infrastructure in terms of light, drainage, road, and water. So we are doing things to deal with informal settlement. The LAMP program, which is funded by the Japanese government, I think, has been assisting the people of this country as to how they can be able to get their property, their land title, and get their place regularized. That's what we have been doing to curtail informal settlement within our country. So you are living on an informal settlement. Do not be afraid. Under this People's National Party-led council, will ensure that you get your title for that place you're living because you want to feel belonged. You want to show this level of ownership. We want to empower you so you can be able to care for yourself, your family, and make a brighter day and a better day for yourself.
Team JLP, your rebuttal.
LAMP started under the Minister Montague. I take note that my colleague is claiming credibility, claiming patronage, right, for LAMP. But LAMP was started under the Jamaica Labour Party. As far as the buildings, the collapse of buildings are concerned, I by training is an engineer. And the money collected by the parish council from these building fees could easily employ an engineer and assign the engineer to a project. These large projects pay millions of dollars. Any engineer employed for a year cannot earn the money paid for these large buildings. It's easy. You assign, when there's a major project, you assign an engineer to the project. We shouldn't be having the problems we're having now with the failures, the building failures. My colleague spoke about the building code. The code can't save persons when you fail to follow safety practices, right? The code can't fail when you have nobody on site to take care of business, right? The code can't work like that. The code cannot save the building if the engineering practices are not followed and if the engineers are not there to ensure that the good practices are followed.
I want to go back to the issue of corruption under the PNP. Do you think it is fair, Jamaica, that a councillor would give her cousin a contract to buy a fridge for her mother?
Thank
Isn't
you
that
very
corruption?
much, Mr. Creary. Your time is up.
It is.
Irvin Forbes has the next question, and that will be posed to Team JLP.
All right. Staying on the issue of physical and infrastructure development, we have had promises and reassurances before. How will you ensure that when Parish Council roads are worked on and fixed, that it does not deteriorate soon thereafter, and also that we get value for money?
Okay. We are, as we speak, there's a road being worked on in the community I serve as Parish Council. And I have asked the citizens, because when you go to the site, they complain that this is not being done right, this is not being done right. And my charge to them is for them to ensure that what they see being done that is not being done right, they make sure that the technical persons at the Parish Council have on the project be informed that they are not satisfied. And I can tell you, there are many instances when work is being done, the citizens have been the persons who ensure that where there is something is going wrong, when the asphalt is not being applied properly, when they are putting, there's leak on the road when they're repairing, the citizens are the persons. So we have that as a protection to ensure that the work is done properly. Secondly, there are standards. My colleague spoke about the building code. The building code not only applies to buildings, it applies to all infrastructure. And as far as the roads are concerned, we are ensuring that the standards are met, right? And in particular, we are ensuring that the money is spent properly. Right? You can, in Clarendon, we had an allocation of $83 million from constituency equalization fund. 79 million of that was spent in one constituency, the constituency represented by the former Minister of Local Government. 79 of $83 million was spent in one constituency. And you know what? There's one JLP division in the constituency and they didn't get $1, not even $1. The entire money was spent in the 3 PNP divisions in one constituency. Come on.
But the
it can't work like that.
But the management of the Parish Council, if the Parish Council is supposed to supervise these road repair, there are equipment that are there that can measure the thickness of the asphalt, the thickness of the mall below, and the Parish Council
I'm so sorry, but I will have to stop you, Mr. Williams. Your rebuttal to
Mr. Brown has been disingenuous. And I will tell you why. During his tenure as Mayor of Maypen 2003 to 2012, I felt what it was like to be victimized. I know what it's like to be victimized. I could only do one road, because he would not allow us to get any money to do anything because we were from the other side. Under my stewardship, not one councillor can say that I victimized them. Whatever allocation the People's National Party councillor get, they receive too. And you can ask Mr. Brown. He has done up to 8 roads under my leadership when compared to me doing one each year.
I want to address the question more frontally though. Because can I just tell you, you asked about how we ensure that we get value for money. Jamaica, it certainly isn't by how we select contractors. There is a retention that is a part of the contract agreement where we withhold a portion of the sum, and we on this side are insisting that we use that retention as a guarantee. Yes, the contractor will not get that money unless for a period, we will hold it for a period, unless that infrastructure stands up. For too long, Jamaica, they have taken us for granted. For too long, it is about exactly what my friend just said over there, choosing your friends to do the job. No one wants to lose money. The contractors don't either. And so we are going to be holding them to account by holding back a part of their fees as a guarantee for those roads.
We need to take some social media questions now. Marjorie has a question for Team PNP.
Jade wants to know what type of oversight is in place or will be implemented to ensure transparency in the awarding of contracts.
The councils, and I'm going to start with KSAC, at the risk of sounding like we're narrowing it down to Kingston and St. Andrew. I assure you we're not. But let me just say that prior to the 3 strategic laws even coming in force, the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, though not unique to us because Manchester led the way, we have put in place a local public accounts committee that is now, by the way, it is now a requirement, whereas before We had essentially done it as part of the system of checks and balances. But not only that, Jamaica, we were the ones who insisted through a resolution that contracts be posted on our website. I wouldn't mind if Councillor Donovan Williams would tell you what the position of the JLP was on that.
Pardon me?
Of course, they didn't support it.
Donovan
But Jamaica,
Williams.
let me just say to you that we are committed to transparency. We could talk the subject matter to death about what may or may not have happened in the past. And of course, we have to look at where we're coming from to chart the course to where we're going. But we want to tell you what it is that we intend to do going forward. And so, Jamaica, we are committed to the kind of standards that you expect from your local leadership. We are committed to ensuring that we stem and reduce corruption. We are committed to the kind of service delivery that you are paying for. We did some 3,200 roads. By the way, of the 25,000 kilometers of roads in this country, 20,000 of that is under the purview of the parish councils. So accept no excuses. When the Jamaica Labour Party shuts down the council, they are flying in the face of local governance.
But let us look at the Jamaica Development Improvement Program, JDIP. We at the council had given up 50% of our parochial revenue fund for 6 months with a promise that we would have given back some money to do community roads. Not 1 cent was received, not a dollar.
Thank you,
from that
Mr.
administration.
Barnswell. Thank you. Team JLP, your rebuttal, please.
Now, the procurement process. If at the KSAC, and I'm speaking since you mentioned the KSAC, there are so many projects that are termed out of session approval projects, which means that they do not fall a normal part of the procurement process, where in a committee, JLP councillors can be there to review the process. A lot of your projects are done out of session, not a part of the normal procurement process. Secondly, you mentioned about the 20 kilometers of road, and I'm saying, if you want to prove to the Jamaican people that we have not experienced as a part of your legacy vulgar victimization, provide the list of roads that you have done since 2012. I am sure, and I guarantee the Jamaican people, that of that list of roads, 90% of that list would be done in PNP divisions.
I would like to take up on what Mayor Barnswell just said about not receiving funds from the JD program. Mayor Barnswell is known as being less than honest with the truth. The people of Clarendon know that, and this is just another example of it here tonight. I would like to also mention the former Minister, Noel Ascott. I am reliably informed that when the PNP sat down to decide who would debate, his own councillors had no confidence in him, hence the reason he is not here debating us tonight. Isn't that an indictment on his stewardship of the 4 years as minister? He took the lion's share of funds for his own constituency, 79 out of 83 million. And now we cannot be here tonight to defend it. Isn't that a pity?
Your time is up, Mr. Creary, and this is where we take another short break. And we invite you to please stay tuned.
One of Red Stripe's latest and most important commitments is the development of a sustainable supply of local raw materials for the brewing of its beer. Under our Project Grow initiative, imported corn syrup is replaced by starch from locally grown cassava. Among the reasons Red Stripe chose cassava is its availability and neutral flavor, the availability of technical expertise, and potential spin-off for industries utilizing cassava byproducts. To date, cassava accounts for 7.5% of the raw materials in the Red Stripe brew. The cultivation of the staple has also created close to 100 jobs for young people on farms at Bernard Lodge and Wallen in St. Catherine and Spring Plain in Clarendon. We have also invested in a cassava processing plant, which produces 20 tons of cassava starch daily. With plans for expansion progressing smoothly, we expect to be sourcing 40% of our raw materials locally by 2019. We at Red Stripe are humbled by this opportunity to contribute to the growth of a great nation and will proudly wave its flag as we expand and take our position on the world stage.
The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica has been serving Jamaica for more than 35 years. The PCJ is spearheading oil and gas exploration in Jamaica, developing renewable energy resources, and facilitating energy conservation in the public sector through the implementation of over 100 energy efficiency projects in hospitals, schools, health centers, and other government facilities. The Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, fueling Jamaica's development for over 35 years.
I love being Jamaican and everything about our little island. Our music, beaches, and sunshine are one of a kind. But what I love most is our culture and how we share the love with each other. Share the love with Miss Birdie. Miss Birdie, love is the best ingredient.
The correct way to vote. Step 1. Find out exactly where you are to vote before Election Day.
Adrian Atkins.
Step 2.
Thank you very much.
Present your voter's identification card and follow the instructions of the presiding officer. Step 3. Once your identity has been verified and your name is found on the voters list, you will be issued a ballot paper. Step 4. Go behind the voting booth and mark an X with the pencil provided beside the candidate of your choice. Then, fold your ballot twice, leaving the flap out. Step 5. Give the ballot to the presiding officer. Then, dip your right index finger in the electoral ink and watch while your unopened ballot is put in the box. Step 6. Leave the vicinity in a peaceful manner.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
For nearly a decade, thousands of lives and communities have been enriched by the efforts of the DNG Foundation. Through Community Link-Up, communities island-wide were fortified with recreational areas. Our REACH program has invigorated communities and schools across the island, facilitating the development of proficient nation builders. The outreach initiative of Red Stripe through the DNG Foundation has nurtured the skills of many through the Learning for Life program. The DNG Foundation, impacting lives, enriching communities.
The Local Government Debates 2016 are presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Purity Bakery, Miss Birdie, Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, Securing Jamaica's Energy Future, Dano and Geddes Foundation, impacting lives, enriching communities.
And welcome back to the second in a series of 2 local government debates presented by the Jamaica Debates Commission. If you're just joining us, welcome. We now invite Damien Mitchell to start the final segment with a question for Team PNP. Damien?
Team PNP, how will you improve the condition and management of public cemeteries?
We have utmost respect for those who have departed from us. And we understand the passion that those of us hold, so dearly for the loved ones who have left us. And so we continue to give the kind of allocation to the treatment of cemeteries to make sure that we preserve them and preserve the dignity of our family members and our friends. The People's National Party, through the councils, are committed to this process. Where we have burials taking place on properties, we ensure that our officers are in constant contact to ensure that the standards are maintained. There is an ongoing program of bushing of these cemeteries. I am sure you will then point me to the Maypen Cemetery, but at the risk of sounding contentious, may I just say to you, we would probably then point you to the amount of allocation that has been made to that cemetery alone. And so, we have to hold our leaders to account. The people of Jamaica is demanding responsibility.
There needs to be a vision as it relates to our public cemeteries. The vision has to be that our public cemeteries should be first world. They should be like Dovecot. And so we have to have a greater respect, we have to engender that greater respect for our ancestors. People must feel safe when they go to our public cemeteries. We have spent a lot of money in terms of expanding the department under the superintendent of cemeteries. So we are doing our part as it relates to upgrading of the cemeteries in Kingston and St. Andrew. As it relates to our vision, I need to point out, Councillor Williams, you were well aware and know that under the DAF, under the PNP's leadership, most of the time, the JLP councils are getting more money than the PNP.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly. Team JLP.
In respect to, you see, we continue to hear the members representing the PNP talk and talk and talk, but the facts not backing up the talk. We have placed on record, in terms of the family plots, the burials that take place on family plots across Kingston and St. Andrew, especially in the rural areas. We have asked for some standardization, for investigation to take place, because these kinds of burials can become a public health risk. We have had nothing out of the KSAC. Now, you're talking about managing and monies being spent in the cemeteries. Let's go back to the markets. Markets are burning down. 3 markets have burned down. I visited the market in the downtown Kingston area. We have been doing nothing about rehabilitating those markets. Yet we talk and talk. So all we have is just pure talk and talk. On the issue of corruption, 2 persons were arrested in Manchester for corruption. 2 persons were at the Manchester Parish Council. So what are we talking about corruption? What we have as a legacy for the last 4 years is really nepotism,
well, Mr. Williams,
corruption.
Damien has a follow-up question. Damien?
Yes, Mr. Barnswell, what actions would you have taken since last year's discovery that skeleton remains were exhumed from the Denby Cemetery without the approval of the Clarendon Parish Council?
Well, if that matter came to our attention, what we would have done is to ask the police to investigate. What we would have done is to ensure that we ask the public health to assist us to investigate about the skeleton remain. Where did it come from? Who does it belong to? We realize that there's a challenge in securing our cemeteries. We realize that our cemeteries' perimeter fence no longer exists in some areas. But we are taking steps to ensure we build a proper fence around these cemeteries. We ensure that whenever these cemeteries that reach its capacity, it's our duty to close them and look for proper place for burial. I must commend the St. Catherine Parish Council in their thrust to find a new place for burial. And we at the Clarendon Parish Council is now making steps to find a new place for burial, because we realize that this cemetery is year-old, 100 years old, and we now need to find a new cemetery for modernize it and to make the aesthetics better for people to want to go and look for their loved ones.
Team JLP?
It's our intention to have public-private partnership as it relates to cemetery. You recognize cemetery privately run in Jamaica is big business. As far as the local authorities are concerned, and in particular Clarendon, the cemeteries are a net earner of funds for the council. We spend less money on cemeteries than we earn from cemeteries. It's our intention to modernize the cemeteries through public-private partnership, and we see cemeteries as a place of historical significance. We are of the view that cemeteries, people who travel abroad, particular persons who are abroad and want to come back and go look for their loved ones in the cemetery, the place needs to be attractive, and it can be a source of revenue if we keep them in good condition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Kalila Reynolds has the next question to Team JLP.
Yes. Central and local government simply can't do everything, especially as it relates to public cleanliness. How would you propose to make the public more involved in ensuring surroundings are kept clean and that the public is held accountable as well when they litter and clog drains?
Thank you. Central and local government cannot do everything. We agree. As far as management of garbage is concerned, we have it the wrong way now. What we do is we pack up all the solid waste from St. Catherine and ship it to Everton City or to Manchester. That can't be the way. That can't be the solution. Why should we, as we are doing as now, why should we put empty plastic bottles in tipper truck to bring to Kingston and St. Andrew? Why? To bring to the dump. To solve the problem, we need to have, again, private-public partnership, and we need to separate our garbage. I'm suggesting that 25% of the garbage that comes to Kingston should be what reach here. The rest of it shouldn't come here. Should not come to the dump. Why do we send vegetable peel to the dump? As a young man in St. Catherine, we used to do a thing called composting, where you farm and you make manure from the vegetation that you get from the kitchen. We don't send it to town. Right now we're sending boxes to Kingston, to the dump. We're sending biodegradable material. Secondly, the matter of energy, waste to energy, should also supplement our effort to manage garbage. We don't have to have the garbage in the drains. Neither do we have to send the biodegradable material to the dumps. The Jamaica Labour Party will separate garbage, as it's being done as an experiment in some areas now, right? To ensure that we don't carry the unnecessary solid waste.
A 9-man enterprise team has been set up to explore the possibility of waste to energy, and that would save Jamaica a lot of money once it is feasible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Creary. The rebuttal from Team PNP.
Certainly, the view on this side is known to the people of Jamaica. We've always believed that solid waste management properly should belong with the local authority, because we are closest to the people and we understand the importance, and we believe we have the capacity to deal with this. Kalila mentioned the drain conditions that we have. We're dealing with outdated infrastructure, and so we have a commitment to continuing the overhaul in our maintenance program of these drains on our roads, that some of which are poorly constructed. But we don't make excuses. We take the steps to ensure that we do what we must to reinforce the infrastructure and to make them, to take them to the capacity where they can carry the stormwater that comes through them. We also have to work with the public to ensure that we educate them so that our drains are not deliberately blocked or unwittingly so. Part of this process is the education process.
$600 million would have gone a very far way in allowing for us to have a public education drive to encourage Jamaicans to keep their surroundings clean, encourage Jamaicans in downtown and in other cities not to urinate in public areas. $600 million would have gone a very far way in building more public sanitary conveniences. $600 million of vote-buying money would have been better spent if we had bought more fogging machines.
Kalila has a follow-up question. Kalila?
Yes, let me just remind you of the question. I asked, how would you propose to make the public more involved in ensuring surroundings are kept clean? Mr. Brown, your response was that the JLP will separate garbage. I want you to address specifically, how would you ensure the public is held accountable for littering and clogging drains?
Okay, the two things there. I think that we'll have fewer and fewer persons causing poor garbage disposal if we inform the persons as to what is to be done. In other words, if we have separation of garbage, it's my view, it's our view, that more and more persons will be active as far as separation is concerned, and we'll have fewer and fewer instances where persons have to be charged, right, for littering.
And we have had a pilot project, the National Solid Waste Management Authority had a pilot project in 3 communities, I believe, and where they have been separating the garbage at source. We should go a far way to doing that.
Yes. This is exactly what local governance is about, putting the people at the center of their own operations. If the people don't have a stake in their existing social order, they will not feel the need to protect it. That is why the People's National Party continues to engage our people through public education programs. We get them involved even. And so, though we are having a discussion about councils. This is not a parochial discussion. And so I don't want to restrict it to Kingston and St. Andrew. When we're talking about public cleanliness, when we're talking about local governance, it's talking about people power. This is the direct vehicle to people power. And so we must continue to engage the community. We must ensure that they have a say in those issues that affect them.
Your time is up. Irvin Forbes has the next question, and it will go to Team PNP.
One of the frequent criticisms against councillors is concerns lack of access to potable water. For those areas where this is a problem, if we check you back in a year's time, what is likely to have changed?
There are some areas still in Jamaica that is without water. Potable water is an expensive and it's quite a costly venture, and we are quite clear where that is concerned. But the People's National Party has always demonstrated the commitment under Minister Robert Pickersgill, and I could take you back before that to the Rapid Response Program. We ensured that we took water to the people of Jamaica, even though we knew that trucking was quite costly. We understood clearly, and we still do, the importance of ensuring that this commodity reaches you. We have, in fact, gone beyond potable water. We have put in wayside tanks because we know that coming from wells are quite expensive, and so we put in mechanisms that will allow access to our people where water is concerned.
Definitely, Venesha. But let us look at the whole minor water supply system. In Clarendon, recently, what we did is to modernize one of our catchment system with electronics equipment, solar electronic equipment that will assist person to get water from the storage area, treated in a chlorinated system, pumped by a solar system, and the person able to get water from it. That's the kind of modernization of our minor water supply system we are pushing. We have started that as a pilot project. We see it work, we saw it work, and we intend to improve it across, not only in Clarendon, but to extend it in other parts of the country that is in need of minor water supply.
But we need to tell the Jamaican people that under the previous PNP government, under the Minister Robert Pickersgill, we had a pump and tank program that has simply stalled in the last 9 months. We must understand that water is a critical element. So you at your home, when you go to what is called a standpipe, social water, that is your parochial dollars being spent there. We want to modernize our system of social water because we know that water is life. We care, we put people
Thank
first.
you very much, Mr. Kelly.
The Jamaica Labour Party is the party that deals with social water and minor water supplies. I'm happy to hear Scean Barnswell mentioning about a solar pump. We did this in Carnal in St. Mary's several years ago, so I'm happy that you are catching up. In terms of trucked water, St. Mary Parish Council now has $2.3 million sitting there for the last 6 months and has not utilized it. The minister had to call me the other day to say, doesn't the parish want this money? When I became councillor, there were several water supplies, minor water supplies in my division. Hurricane Gilbert came in 1988. Several of them were not working between 1988 and 2004. I spent the paltry sum, Jamaica, of $17,000 to resuscitate the Adeline Spring in Bernard. I again spent the paltry sum of $20,000 to resuscitate the Sergio Spring, which serves the Richmond Road community. This is what the Jamaica Labour Party does. We are the party who cares. For so many years, between 88 and 2004, we could not have resuscitated these systems, and the PNP is over there speaking platitudes about caring.
Mr. Creary, your time is up, sir. We now go to closing statements, and Team JLP will go first.
My fellow Jamaicans, Team JLP shared a credible and refreshing vision for the transformation of local government. You have seen us debate the issues. You have heard the logical and compelling arguments we have presented. You have come to recognize that what we currently now have as local government system is not something we should be proud of. The time has come for us to do things differently. The time has come for us to send the PNP and its mismanagement of local government packing. The choice is clear. Choose Team JLP. For transformation of our local government system, choose Team JLP. For increased economic opportunities through local government, choose Team JLP. For greater value for your hard-earned dollar, choose Team JLP. For the restoration of integrity and faithful stewardship in the administration of local government, choose Team JLP. You don't deserve business as usual. You don't deserve the people who do less with more money. You deserve a more accountable, efficient, and transparent system of local government. You deserve councillors who care. You deserve councillors who care. Team JLP is committed to replacing mosquito infestation with mosquito eradication. Replacing streets that are dark at night with streets that are lit and bright. Replacing cronyism and corruption with performance and production. And replacing neglect and despair with compassion and care. Jamaicans, on election day, go out and vote for the people who care. Go out and vote JLP and put your X beside the bed.
Team PNP, please go ahead with your closing statement.
Good evening again, Jamaica. Local governance is a direct vehicle to people power. The People's National Party has always been the ones to articulate a clear-cut vision as it pertains to local governance. We don't just identify the deficiencies in the system. We also have charted the way in terms of those things that will improve the service delivery to you, the people of Jamaica. The JLP would want you to forget that they controlled 12 of the 14 councils. Yes, Jamaica. From 2003 to 2012, 9 years prior. Yes, Jamaica, they also want you to forget that they had the support of central government led by the JLP between 2007 and 2011. But I want to encourage them that instead of coloring mosquitoes, we need to increase fogging. The People's National Party will ensure that we hold JPS to account. They have to give us a timeline to complete the LED transformation system. We will also ensure that we take water to you because we know water is life. We are going to ensure that the turnaround time for the repairs of street lights is done, and the JPS will have to commit to it because heaven knows, and we all know, that our safety depends on it. Over 120 persons killed in the last 2 weeks, Jamaica. That is unsustainable. By international standards, we are in civil war. Jamaica, we have 18,000 reasons not to trust the JLP. Have you gotten your $18,000 yet? The Jamaica Labour Party, Jamaica, is about deception and propaganda. Jamaica, the difference is clear. The evidence is there. JLP propaganda is going nowhere. On the 28th of November, vote PNP.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. At this point, we invite both teams to shake hands. Thank you. And that concludes the second of two local government debates organized by the Jamaica Debates Commission in association with Purity Bakery, Ms. Birdie, the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, and the Deno and Geddes Foundation. Sign language interpretation was provided by Proven, listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Broadband services were provided by Cable and Wireless Business. Now, to view the debate again, please go to our website at www.jamaicadebatescommission.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Precious. Good evening.
And that they are all going to turn into lewd variations of the productive citizens that we really want them to become. From where I sit and the work that I have done, both as a researcher of dancehall for almost 20 years and as a fan of dancehall since I was a teenager taking the bus from Lindsay to Spanish Town and back, dancehall has been far more than